Welcome back to the channel. I'm going to try and make this a shorter video than my usual long-winded episodes. But this one is about DCS World using Openxr natively and multi-threading. The latest version of DCS supports it, but you do have to be aware of one thing. You can't start it from the Pimax Crystal like you could with the non-multi-threading version. If I go to DCS in my games in the Pimax Crystal, it shows DCS, but it will actually start the original executable, which is non-multi-threaded and non-Openxr. So what I did was I went into, and I looked at a bunch of YouTube videos to figure this out, because believe me, it's not something I could figure out on my own. Not being the sharpest tool in the VR shed, if you knows what I means. So I went to the games menu for my D drive. There's DCS World. And if you go to binaries, you'll see the original executable. That's not the one you want. You want to go to binary-MT, which stands for multi-threading. Now here's the executable that I want. That's what I want to use to start the game. Copy it over to your desktop, which I did right here. Then you add one line to it, and other YouTubers have explained that in detail. I think I'll just put a link in the video's title and display beneath the video to show you where you might click in YouTube to find it, because I don't feel like reinventing the wheel, and I'm not good at explaining these things. And there's some brilliant videos out there. My friend Steve over at VR Flight Sim Guy, he did a good job on it too. Maybe I'll put his link in. But if you just go to YouTube and type in Openxr DCS how to or something like that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cough into the microphone. I'm still at the, what I hope is the last edge, the final edge of this little bout with pneumonia I had. It's annoying, you know, you get a little bit of pneumonia and it just knocks you on your butt. When I was younger, I used to shrug stuff like this off, but anyway. It's interesting that you need to log on to DCS to do a lot of things. You can play DCS offline, but in some, that seems to be, so DCS is fine that way, and so is IL2. But in Flight Sim 2020, they're moving towards a mostly cloud-based process for 2024. And I'm not sure I like that. I'm really not. I think if you can provide the storage space on your SSD hard drive, and there are 8 terabyte drives available, granted they're expensive, then why shouldn't you be able to just download everything you need and play it offline? Because sometimes the internet where I am is a little bit iffy. I'll be in the middle of flying and it'll lose my internet connection, so then I lose my scenery, or at least the photogrammatic scenery. But in DCS, that's not an issue. So let's, now that DCS is loaded, and thank you, Eagle Dynamics, for creating a game that doesn't take an anniversary to load up for me. And in the hangar, I'm showing 90 frames per second. One of the important things with any headset, but particularly with the Crystal, is to make sure you have it centered on your head so that your eyes are in the sweet spot. And then when your IPD is adjusted correctly, you have a sweet spot that's basically the whole lens on both sides, which is really nice. Okay, so I want to see how this runs in Openxr and multi-threading compared to normally. And I really like this little I-16 Russian fighter, so we'll play that. We'll just do a free flight, I think. I'm not going to bother dogfighting anybody. I don't know how instructive it would be for you to see me shot down by an AI. Might be amusing, though. Almost certainly amusing. Oh, I'll just keep getting the headset a little bit better situated. And here we are. You know, before I start the game, let's just take a second to look around. Yeah, it looks beautiful on the Crystal. I mean, the shadows moving across as the sun glances over the wings. Even the faded paint on the red star. The people who design these airplane modules for DCS do a wonderful job. The cockpit looks great. Okay, so let's just fly around for a bit. I'm in Openxr looking up at the sky in this offline mission. I see 63 to 65 frames per second. Looking at the ground, it drops to around 60. I would imagine that over a busy town or more complex scenery with more airplanes in the air, it would drop a few more frames per second. Right now I'm showing 73, 74. That's probably unrealistically high for a game situation where there's a lot of stuff going on. But this is where I think multi-threading must come in, because when you're depending on a single thread, the limiting factor in DCS was the CPU. And I don't think it is anymore. I really don't. Okay, cool. Let's stop this and let's try it online quickly. Now, I love the fact that there are a lot of servers online for DCS, but I'm not unhappy, but somewhat disappointed that there's so few World War II servers, because this is where DCS kind of lets us down, I think. And it's not really anybody's fault, because it was designed as a modern combat flight simulator. And they're starting to get more World War II planes in, but still not enough to really do something amazing and useful. You can't do the Battle of Britain because there aren't enough airplanes for it. Even when you look at, say, Normandy here, 1944 to 1945, there's a lot of elements missing. I think they've still done a good job on this terrain and on providing a campaign, but I don't know. It's missing something for me. And I guess it's not really important to other generations, younger generations, because my generation was the one following World War II. And our parents were involved in that great crusade, and they were heroic to us. And so was the entire war. It was closer to us. We were closer to it. So I can understand why subsequent generations, 3 generations later, it's not as important to people. And the modern airplanes are. I get that. I don't fly the modern airplanes, but maybe someday I'll try the F-16. I've always kind of liked it. Let's see if I can join this server. Oh, I got to pick one first. Operation Jupiter. Is anybody in it? Well, see, here's the other problem with it. Because World War II just isn't as big a deal for younger players, people go to the trouble of putting up a server with Normandy on it, or the Channel, and designing a war space, and they're very little used. So it's a funny thing. I love DCS, but I don't play it much, and that's why. I think if I was more into F-16s and F-15s and all that stuff, and the modern airplanes, then I would live in DCS, because I just think it's an amazing, amazing sim. I love the cockpits. I love the detail. I really love the fact that you can use the mouse to flip switches. So if you're in an arena or a server where they demand that you start on the ground with a cold start, you can do everything with your mouse. You can flip all those switches. You don't have to map them all to your hot ass and throttle. The problem with that for me, of course, is when I have a limited number of buttons available on my throttle and joystick, And the keyboard's useless to me because I don't have a pass-through mode on the headset. I can't see the keyboard. I'm groping for it. Let's try the Spitfire Mark 9. Planes that are available are the Mosquito, the P-47, and the P-51, and the Spitfire Mark 9. Alright, briefing. Now, we're not going to do much here. I just want to fly around and see if the frame rate drops, because we're over a slightly busier. It might take a second to load. Okay. Alright, so I've got to take off here. Okay, hold on now. Hold on. I'm not sure where the... Whoa, Nelly. Whoa, Nelly, get that wing off the ground. Goodness sakes. Okay, I can't get the throttle low enough. Alright, that's going to make landing problematic. Okay, hold on. Let's pause this. Pause. Okay. Let's leave the server. I'm going to have to fix this. Okay, well, we might as well use this as an opportunity to look at setting controls in DCS, which I am not an expert on. Controls, I want to map throttle. I want to look at axes commands here. Oh, why won't it let me? Oh, okay, I got to click that OK. Let's go to axes commands. Where's my throttle? Throttle analog. Got that on the Pro throttle. Okay, so let's... Ah, you know what this is? This is a problem with the Pro throttle, because it doesn't like to go full out or full in for some reason. But let's see if we can get it to work anyway. Now, there should be a way to... Alright. Okay. So why can't I get... I think there must be a way to... Okay, so click OK here. Shoot. I'm learning this as I go. Axes commands. Throttle. Now, there must be a way to... Axes tune. No, that's what I want. See, look, I've got... It refuses to go all the way down. Wonder what the problem is here. Is it saturation? That's really odd. What if I invert it? That's going to make it bad at the... No, I still can't get the throttle to 0. Okay, that's interesting. Why won't that? Try that. Well, I got full saturation. Dead zone. No, that's no good. Curvature doesn't affect anything. Well, okay, if I can't get the... See, it's not a problem with DCS, it's a problem with my throttle. For some reason, it's not calibrating properly. It won't go all the way to 0. So, Let's see if I can find a command to turn the engine off so when I land I can at least get slow enough. All but axes commands. Engine RPM decrease. Page down, page up. You'd think there would be a wow, wait a minute, mixture control. I can use the mixture control to shut the engine down. Okay, let's do that. Let's go to axes controls again. There should be mixture. Here we are. So we'll go to SideTech Pro. And we'll... Why is that toggle? I don't want to use toggle. Oh, okay, I want mixture control. Well, I guess this is all we can do. Well, let's see if I can... Key button. I don't want to use a button on this. I want it to... Oh. That's not what I want. Nothing but troubles. Well, let's try that. No, I don't think that will. Well, maybe. Yeah, okay, there we go. So we got mix control. That should help. Okay, let's go back. Crazy game, isn't it? I mean, it's not crazy, it's complex. That's the word I'm looking for. We'll try this again. I don't have the Mustang or the Mosquito, so we'll just do this. Okay.
Dodge
Take
1,
a second.
descending bandit at Bulls 221 for 6.
No, I don't see mix moving here. Well, I guess what I can do... Can I pull that back? No. See, it refuses to... Well, I'm just going to have to use the mouse. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Shit. There we go. We're running. Okay. Let's throttle up a little bit. Find a runway. All right. Mix is full. We're ready to go. Ooh, got my elevator trim set way too high. I wanted to pop the nose right up. Oof, that was a lot of work just to find out that we have pretty much the same number of frames per second as we had before. But I learned something, so that's good. Now, can I get that throttle to... Okay, so now it's working. Now I have throttle set way back. The gear's already down, so let's try landing. Landing the Spitfire is a bit of a trick in DCS. I've seen people demonstrating it on YouTube, and they always use a little bit of power and a bit of flap. Well, no, I don't know if they always do. The one or two that I watched did. But the Spitfire's flap went to 89 degrees. That's like hanging a sheet of drywall underneath your wings. I mean, it's going to be very draggy. And the Spitfire needed it as it got bigger and heavier, but the Spit 9 should be able to land power off with no flaps. Just do a certain kind of approach here. I'm not an expert in DCS by any stretch of the imagination, so I love the game, but because World War II is not very well developed in it yet, I tend not to play it too much. Okay, it's really easy to pitch the nose over if you hit the brake too hard. So I'll just use the mouse to pull the mix back. Well, that was a lot easier to land than I remember. I don't know whether I've gotten better or the sim's changed, but previously I could land it, I don't know, 9 out of 10 times I'd be okay. Here's something I don't understand, though. As the airplane's coming to a halt, even though there isn't any wind to speak of across the runway, it wants to weathercock one way or the other. Anyway, with any tail dragger, you should be on the rudders the whole time anyway. I mean, one of the first things that I learned when training to fly tail draggers was that you fly it all the way to the hangar. So what's my verdict on DCS in Openxr natively with multi-threading? Well, so far I think it's brilliant. I mean, I'm sure I can tweak it a bit more, but I'm getting an easy 7 to 10 frames per second more online and off. And that's without reducing any of the video quality. I've got a hunch I could tweak it a bit more, make it look even better, and still have 55, 60 frames per second. So well done, Eagle Dynamics. I think it speaks well for the company that they were willing to commit to the coding time to make these changes. I can't imagine that it was an easy job. Can't imagine it was an easy job to change the code to make Openxr native and to address the multi-threading issue. All right, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to get out of this server, and here we go, leave server. I just wish DCS had more to offer for World War II. I mean, that's changing. They are bringing that along, but at this point, it's the reason I don't play it very much as I love the game. thank you for joining me today. I think I think Eagle Dynamics deserves a huge vote of congratulations for what they've done here. It's a good job, and it makes the game, I think, better for everybody. All right, at least everybody in VR. Have a great day. Thanks for coming over.